Radiant team ban.
Greetings and salutations and welcome back to those who waited through the break. If this is your first time hearing my voice today, thank you for making us a part of your day here on the RoX Invitational, sponsored by Alienware. Our second series of the day, Mousesport's going to be taking on RoX.KIS. Now, RoX.KIS is as intriguing a team as you're likely to find in Dota. They're also one of the most active, playing nearly 24 series across the month of April, across squads that range from true top tier to totally unknown. They assembled a 12-8 record in their last 20 and have been truly all over the place in their quality of wins versus severity of losses. For example, on the good end, you have their run to the EMS LAN Finals and quality wins over Virtus Pro, EG, Fnatic, and DD Dota. On the bad, though, you also have a lot of goose eggs against not just quality teams like Alliance and Na'Vi, but head-scratchers like a collective 0-5 record against middling teams like Icy Cup in their last two meetings. Another team looking to prove their worth and hit their stride as the International looms on the horizon. RoX.KIS has two big opportunities to turn heads here in May in the International qualifiers and as well as the RoX Invitational in front of us today. Right now, they face another TI3 qualifier competitor, and all eyes will be watching to see where they stack up against the team that may well be an obstacle on their way to Seattle, too. Mouz, well, it just wouldn't be spring without Synderen's name being in the mix for big-time competitive Dota, would it? Make no mistake, Mouz's recent addition of Synderen to replace Alex is the biggest storyline and point of interest the team has had since the departure of Kuroki to Na'Vi, and there's plenty to talk about in the nuts and bolts of the team's recent performances as well. Mouz, like so many teams since the snow has started to melt, has struggled to get streaky this spring. They're 6-8 since April and are in the midst of a 4-series skid that dates back 3 weeks. But throughout that record, they've managed to do something many teams struggle to do. That's win series they should win and only lose the teams considered true top-tier competition. Of the 6 competitive losses they've suffered, 5 of them have been against teams which are direct invites to the International, with the lone remaining loss being to a Western qualifier invite in Empire. Of the remaining series, Mouz has managed to not just hold their own against top teams, but even take wins over squads like Alliance and Na'Vi here and there. Based on their record, Mouz may well be the most underrated and underestimated team in the West right now, but with their name back in the headlines thanks to Synderen, you can bet no one is going to be sleeping on them, at least for a little while. Least of all, RoX.KIS today. So, introductions are done. I'm AC, joined by Merlini for the broadcast, and this draft is flying by, so I'm just going to let you jump right into it. Tell me what you see.
Sure. So we see a Darkseer first pick. We've seen a lot of teams pick up Lifestealer first, but bans are nothing out of the ordinary. Batrider, Wisp, Magnus, and Keeper of the Light. And no Nyx pickup either from Mouz or RoX.KIS. So we see a Darkseer draft followed by a Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet was utilized pretty well by Na'Vi, and he has moved from like a second phase pick to a very top pick. He's very good at split pushing. He can offlane, he can jungle, he can do a lot of damage late game, and he's just a pain in the butt to deal with all around. Again, we see Lifestealer, no surprise there. We see Shadow Demon counter pick from RoX.KIS. Shadow Demon, one of the best supports in the game right now, and he works very well against Lifestealer. Some teams opt for Bane, like I talked about in the last series, but Shadow Demon is also very good versus him. You can disrupt defensively against open wounds, and you can purge him during rage. Both very, very good against Lifestealer's skill set.
Yeah, you and I talked a bit about that, in fact, the last time in our first series of the day, which went by quite quickly with Na'Vi getting past their opponents in Q-Pad. I really love Shadow Demon exactly for that reason. It's not just against Lifestealer he works well. I mean, he is a great hero in just about any context. And when you look at RoX.KIS lineup, it's not just him that's going to create problems for the Lifestealer. Darkseer with Surge can Surge a support or whatever unfortunate target happens to be on the bad end of open wounds. He's going to give them the mobility to get away. The slow that Gyrocopter offers with call down, that can be a problem early on. Even for a Lifestealer, I mean, Rage only lasts so long, and if Gyro's able to hold on to that and wait for that initial Rage to wear off, all of a sudden you've got another problem for LS. But when I look at Mousesport's lineup, about as solid as it gets. You've got the global presence of Prophet, that push power, the ability to be a +1 to any sort of early engagement. Rubik, we talked at length about him. That's a hero that many captains, Puppy probably leads the charge there, has claimed a number of times that he is the best support in the entire game right now. So they're going to have that. They're going to have strong lanes. They have the option to offensively tri-lane with the Lifestealer and Rubik, two very good heroes in that sense, if they want to, or they can just simply fall back and look to do a defensive tri-lane that'll still have a lot of gank potential because of the strength of telekinesis at early levels. So Mouz much more solid. When I look at RoX.KIS, I like their draft The only thing that kind of jumps out, and you had made mention of it, been a long time since I've seen a Darkseer first pick like that.
Yep, he's fallen out of favor, but he's still a very, very potent hero. Not as strong without a wombo combo, like let's say Magnus, but still very strong.
Gyrocopter, of course, going to give them, you know, Gyrocopter's a hero that I love to cast and love to play. And it's just because of how flexible and versatile he is. We saw what can happen. We've seen many, many times. If a Lifestealer has a bad start, doesn't get his farm, maybe a little underleveled, he can just become a non-factor. Gyrocopter, by strength of nothing but his skill set alone, really rarely finds himself in that situation. He can flash farm very effectively. He can duck into the jungle very, very early to catch up if he gets behind in farm. He can also, and this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, but you see it time and time again, and it really can make a difference, especially if you have a lineup that wants to capitalize on a particular timing. He has the ability to start farming the ancient stacks very, very quickly compared to most other carries, and he can do it honestly by himself in almost every situation once he gets maxed out flak cannon. So anyway, the bans are complete in the second phase. RoX.KIS adds Puck to their lineup, going to give them a lot more reach and the ability to get in and silence Mouz out just as they try to engage.
I think Furion's going to have a difficult early game. Both Darkseer and Gyrocopter fare pretty well versus him. So if they put Nature's Prophet in a safe lane, will most likely be matched up versus Darkseer, and if it's an aggressive, or if it's in the aggressive off lane, then he'll probably be paired up against Gyrocopter, and the supports can just zone him out for a couple of levels, and Gyro will have free farm. So I'm a little bit worried for this Nature's Prophet, but the good thing about him, he can come back and farm very, very easily, and still has the potential to jungle in case he gets zoned out. Puck is a very strong hero. We've seen him rise in popularity past couple of months, and we see RoX.KIS ban a couple of the strong solo mids that are decent contenders against Puck, Queen of Pain and Storm Spirit most notably. The last ban, Alchemist, is a hero that Mouz is actually known for running. They've run support Alchemist quite a few times, although I have not seen him run it without Shadow Demon, because you do need somewhat of a setup for that. So RoX.KIS has pretty good bans so far, and from Mouz we see Tinker ban, Lone Druid ban, and Nyx ban, all annoying heroes to deal with.
Yeah, Mouz, I mean, not going to get their hands on the Nyx bomb, and we've seen that time and time again, how potent that can be. The Queen of Pain and Storm Spirit bans, as you had mentioned, gets rid of unfavorable matchups for Puck, but also gives you the added benefit of taking away that early method of Lifestealer getting into a fight, which can be problematic early on in those mid-game fights. I mean, once he tanks up, it's not such a big deal. Rage certainly helps, but once you build items, sometimes you'll see something like Phase, Drums, even Sanjin, Yasha being a typical build for a Lifestealer in some circumstances, whenever you just want to make sure that he can get in and out of a fight very quickly and very effectively. But something that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but I try to touch on it every time I see it because it actually is extremely potent if you're running a gank-oriented lineup, which Mouz, honestly, with that Beastmaster pickup, that tells me they want to fight sooner rather than later. Rubik, as mentioned, has a ton of gank potential as well. Nature's Prophet, with his global presence, Lifestealer can just as easily infest right into him. It's not quite as effective as, say, a relocate from an EO, or a Wisp, as I'll probably continue to call him for the rest of my life. But it does allow the Lifestealer to feel a lot more mobile than he might by himself in the absence of a hero like a Queen of Pain or a Storm Spirit. But RoX.KIS just going all in on the team fight, man. I mean, when you look at their lineup, you've got the AoE and the reach of Puck, you've got the reach of Clockwork, you're going to have the AoE of Darkseer and Gyrocopter. This is a team that wants the 5-man Dota, and I'd be surprised if we hit 20-25 minutes and we don't see that team grouping up very early.
5 seconds.
One thing that immediately comes out to me from RoX.KIS lineup is they have so many solutions to deal with Nyx. Puck can always orb and phase shift if he gets focused by Nyx. They have Surge if anyone else gets open wounded. They have Cogs that goes through Rage. They have Shadow Demon Purge that goes through Rage. They have Disrupt. They just have so many solutions for Lifestealer. So I don't think that Lifestealer will be a huge problem this game. They have some potential for bombs. They have the Teleport Bomb from Nature's Prophet as well as a possible Hawk Bomb from Beastmaster, but nothing spectacular. Like you said, no Queen of Pain, Puck, or Storm Ship from them, which are the most common methods of Nyx bombing.
I'm really intrigued to see this last pickup by Mouz because one problem they're going to run into, Lifestealer can do damage and be relevant in the late game. I mean, if he gets ahead and stays ahead, he's always good. He's just one of those heroes that, you know, give him an inch, he'll take a mile. You cannot let him ahead of you. But in terms of pure, just raw, pound for pound, late game carry potential, Gyrocopter has the edge there, especially against a Rubik and a Prophet who are not going to be building innately tanky. Flat Cannon, once Gyrocopter switches from building survivability into damage, is just really hard for supports to survive given the gigantic gigantic range on Flat Cannon, and, you know, the Windrunner pickup plays into that. Windrunner, you know, when you look at this, you'd like to say it's likely to be a Windrunner mid. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be handling her, and we'll figure that out just right about now. In fact, it will be, yeah, it's going to be Synderen, so where he winds up is going to be interesting. But, you know, he is playing support right out the gate. He's picked up wards and regen, and that's all well and good. But I suspect they're going to be really reliant on him with the magic damage that you get from Power Shot, as well as a little bit of damage just all around to try and take the load off of Lifestealer. But we're going to be, yeah, I said I'd be surprised if they didn't start to run as 5 and look to fight very early on. Didn't think it'd be this early. A smoke right out of the well as RoX.KIS looking to make something happen. They're going to run right past the Treant, and they're going to dip into the jungle. So, I mean, and this is problematic in a lot of ways. Mouz is not expecting this, not grouped up in the least.
Yep, and very smart move by them. The Furion Treants already walked by top rune, but it did not scout out the smoking. It's still, but maybe like 5 to 10 seconds left on it, and they get pinged. Looks like this will be 100 gold gone to waste.
Nice attempt. I'm actually surprised. I'm going to draw on the map to show what they did. They basically went like this. I'm a little surprised they didn't loop all the way around next to the pole camp, because, I mean, you have to figure one of the #1 goals of any defensive tri-lane is almost always going to be defending that pole camp, trying to prevent wards from going down, especially if you do want to play defensively, if you do want to guarantee safe farm for Black, who will be on the Lifestealer. So they just didn't really take the path I would have thought, and instead, like you said, it's 100 gold down the drain. Horn blows, so let's take a look at who's handling who. We're going to have Bizzles, and I got to admit, this is the first time I've actually broadcasted RoX.KIS, so gonna hope they're all running under their correct name. Bizzles Perfect will be playing our Gyrocopter. Dread gonna be handling our Darkseer. We're gonna have Solo handling our Puck appropriately solo mid. We're gonna have Vanscore playing on our Shadow Demon, and we're gonna have Yol handling the Clockwork Goblin. The other side of the river, we got Synderen handling our Windrunner. Beastmaster going to be played in mid by Feta. Really love Feta as a player. I think he's developed up so well, given how much pressure was put on him in that mid role after Sing's departure. Nature's Prophet going to be played by Quakeva. Rubik going to be played by Paz, and Black, as mentioned, on one of his favorite heroes, the Lifestealer. And now Dread's going to eat the open wounds and be engaged upon. Power shots there from downtown and telekinesis there. That's enough to put first blood on the board. Exactly the start you want if you're Mouz. Get that first blood and that extra gold in Black's hands.
Yeah, man, here we see an unusual support winner. I've seen it done before, but not recently. And again, some unusual lanes. RoX.KIS going for a dual lane top 2. Oh wow, I did not see that.
Yeah, me either. It's you don't expect a Puck at level 2 and 3 to be bringing down a Beastmaster, who should, for the most part, be fairly tanky and survivable, but instead, Feta sent back to the well, make it 1-1. Mouz did manage to get the first blood under the belt to begin with. Now, down here, let's talk about this a bit, Merlina. You and I touched on this a bit in terms of an alchemist, and honestly, I feel like Gyro's not quite as bad, but certainly in the same boat. Giving a Gyro free farm, it comes back to bite you pretty damn quick.
Well, we saw it in Na'Vi though. We saw Q-Pandas have a Gyro free farm top the first game, but it didn't amount to anything. So again, not as scary as Alchemist, but still, it's not something that you really want to do. They're going to fall behind a little bit because of this weak dual lane up top, but no surge yet.
Open wounds on Dread. There's a shackle. What a shot, Synderen. He lined it up perfectly. That's going to be enough to secure another kill. Oh, he actually missed on the power shot. Don't think it matters much. And Yol going to be forced back. And let's see. Yeah, they're not going to commit too heavy to it. The immediate teleport back up from Darkseer, who has already died twice this game. But this is something I actually saw Rattlesnake do in the G1 Asia qualifiers. They made it work for them. Right now, though, RoX.KIS, this duo lane with the two little guys, not exactly going as planned.
Yeah, finally they're level 2, though. Clockwork was smart and backed off to the tower, allowing Darkseer to get solo experience. They really need Surge to counter the open wounds so that they don't continuous die and feed Black in this lane.
So taking a look back here at mid, you know, it would seem obvious that Puck should have an edge here, obviously getting that that first blood, or that early kill, I should say, on Beastmaster helps out. But something I want to watch is how exactly the Beastmaster decides to build. Is he going to go something like a Necrobook? Hold on, we've got Black. Thought about it. Did decide to go ahead and back out. But in the meantime, I mean, this Beastmaster in mid, that's a lot of priority to give to that hero. You know, if you're in the shoes of Mouz, how are you thinking of building him here, Merlini?
Looks like they need more team fight items, and with the amount of farm that Windrunner is going to get in this top lane, he's probably going to go somewhat of a support build, probably Arcane Mech. Looking at their heroes, I don't think Necropuck is going to be that useful. They don't have any Invis heroes. Oh, is he going to die again?
Being pursued out solo. He bottled. One more auto attack will do it. That's it. So another unfortunate death in mid for Mouz. And really, I mean, you know, you don't want to take anything away from Puck or from the person playing him in solo. He should not be dying like this. It just shouldn't be happening.
He might need a Stout Shield to deal with all this right click from the Puck, but very nice play from solo in mid. Using the Bottle Crow, he will be back at full HP quite soon. 4-minute rune spawning. It looks like Yo will not get it on top.
Take a look at the last hits. We can see, as one would anticipate, the free farming Gyro having an easy time of it. If anything, even though it has cost him a first blood and a second death as well, they are at least kind of slowing Black down. I mean, he's in range, he's in the ballpark, but he's not quite where Gyro is. Now we're just going to see Koikva come over with a DD, and he's going to try to prevent this early push on this tier 1. One good thing that RoX.KIS has going with that dual lane, it's still going to be very difficult for them to push early on. I mean, they can dive the tower quite easily, but with the strength of Cogs and the strength of Ion Shell, pushing into that tier 1 is going to be pretty laborious if you're in Mouz's shoes.
And it's really on this Beastmaster to try and make something happen as soon as he hits 6. He's still one full level away, but he needs to try and come back from this rather poor start from dying twice and hopefully just get this tower down early. He has Inner Beast at level 2. He actually has 2 levels of Inner Beast. Most people only opt for 1 level. You get 18% from 1 level as opposed to 8% from level 1 and level 2.
Right.
So most people opt for 1 level of Inner Beast and then maxing Call the Wild, or just skipping Inner Beast altogether until level 10.
Honestly, I mean, he's going to have enough levels. We'll see, you know, if he's going to continue to max Inner Beast or if he is going to pick up those extra levels and Call the Wild. But when you look at the range and the reach that RoX.KIS is going to have with the Puck and the Clockwork in particular, the vision that Inner Beast is going to give you, that's not something I think Mouz is going to want to forego, especially once this laning phase begins to break down.
Yep, definitely. They need to look for opportunities with Furion and trying to scout out some ganks. They have a pretty gank-oriented lineup. Nakes is one of those carry heroes that can fight a lot early game. That's one of his greatest strengths.
And we're going to have a disconnect, so quick pause that gives me an opportunity once again to thank each and every one of you for being here with us here today, our very first day of the Curse Invitational powered by Alienware. I'm AC, joined by Merlini for the broadcast, and we'll be here for each and every game stretching from now until roughly the end of May. For those not familiar with the format, I'm going to go ahead and just pop that up for you. Boom, there's our bracket so far. Hasn't been updated to reflect our winners earlier today, but take my word for it, Na'Vi looked good. Na'Vi moving on, knocking Q-Pad down to the lower bracket. We're going to have 2 more matches today, including this one, so the winner of this obviously will move on. Not the loser will fall to the lower bracket. Then our 3rd match of the day will be EG taking on Dignitas. Tomorrow, we're right back in your face again with 3 more matches. We'll round out the winners bracket with their final match tomorrow, and then get into the lower bracket. And after that, we'll be down for a few days and right back next weekend for our 2nd weekend, and then the finals will be the weekend after that. So hope you guys will hit follow here on Curse Entertainment. Hope you guys will join us for that. Speaking of follow, how about you follow us both on Twitter as well? I'm at AC, at AYESEE. And where can they find you, Merlini?
At Merlini Dota. MERLINIDOTA.
Make sure you check him out, guys, especially if you're a newer player to Dota. Not a whole lot of guys that you're going to want to follow more than Merlini if you're trying to learn more about the game. Hell, I tune in and even pick up tidbits once in a while. One of the more entertaining educational streamers in the entire scene. And very happy to have you back on the microphone, my friend. You and I had a chance to work together in the D2L. We did 1 playoff series together, and then we had a chance to do a couple with the G1. But this is the first time we've been officially partnered for an entire event.
And it's great. I love casting with you. You have the great smooth radio voice that everyone always talks about.
It's a good thing I got a voice, man. Like you said, everyone talks about the voice. It's unfortunate because I think if I didn't have the voice, no one would listen to me. You never hear. It's like, oh, AC is just, he's so smart, he's so fluid, he's so well-spoken. Nope, it's always the voice. So
you have to play to your strengths, man.
Anyway, guys, sorry for the downtime. Hope Syndrin will be able to rejoin us. This is his first appearance with Mouz, to my knowledge, anyway. So hopefully it won't be marred by a disconnect problem. But anything else of yours, Merlini, you can promote? You gave your Twitter. Where else can they find you? Facebook, YouTube, all that fun stuff.
Yep, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the same thing. And Twitch, of course, where I stream quite often, probably at least 50, 60 hours a week.
Yeah, it has to be, man. Like, it's one of those things where if I'm doing something that doesn't involve you, I hate it when you're online because I know that, like, that's like at least 3,000 people that are not going to watch what I do because you're online. So, and it seems like you're always on. You're always on. But looks like it was a blue screen problem, which is actually good news. A blue screen just means he needs a restart. If it was like an outage of some sort, that could be problematic. But Synderen hopefully will be rejoining us here soon. So let's go ahead and, while we've got a minute here, let's talk about the lineups. I mean, we did some brief analysis in terms of the lineups and the way they match up with each other during the pick ban phase. But seeing that the Beastmaster is obviously struggling, Lifestealer is falling behind now, and it is, significant. It's not huge, but the fact that Gyro is at 45 to 33 CS over top of the Lifestealer, and they're likely to take this tier 1 very, very soon. It's honestly right in just about in deny range already. If you're in RoX.KIS's shoes there, or Mouz's shoes, excuse me, is that, how much of an ongoing concern is that at this moment?
I think the biggest concern for Mouz right now is the Beastmaster. Like, if you look at the net worth right now, everything's about as you expect. Gyro and Nyx are on top. They're the safe lane carry. They have a lot of support and not much resistance, so they're supposed to be on top. Puck is actually really high. The Puck and Beastmaster, that's the biggest discrepancy I see. It's a 1,100 net worth difference, and the level is he's almost 2 full levels higher than the Beastmaster middle, and that's really like the big disparity in this game. That's what you would not expect. Everything else is pretty close. Okay, these safe lane farmers are really farmed, and the supports are really poor, but this discrepancy in mid is the biggest worry for Mouz right now. He needs to get level 6. He's supposed to be level 6 right now by the time nighttime hits, which is in 10 seconds, but not quite. On the plus side, Quakefa is not having too bad of a game. He's already level 5, 1,200 gold, only 200 gold until Midas right now. He can probably do these Ancients, although it will be quite difficult for him to take out. And luckily, this tower is not down yet. It will go down very shortly, though, especially with Glyph on cooldown for yet another 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
I've still got the bracket up, by the way. No, it's fine. I was just checking the overlay. I've left the bracket up because you guys really aren't missing anything here. There's not a whole lot to report. So it just occurred to me, the stream chat's like, oh my god, AC left it up. I haven't even moved the camera, guys. So, but just to make everyone happy, boom, there you go. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you totally. And in fact, when I look at the lineup of Mouz, they have the ability to take charge of this game. But what worries me is when you look at their lineup compared to, again, the word I keep using is reach. So much reach between Clockwork and Puck to start fights, to take fights. The gank ability, based on, and, this is, again, is one of the things I love about a Gyro, is how effective he is, even if he is slow to get items, how effective he is with the mass damage that comes out of Rocket Barrage and Flak Cannon. So you've got all of that put together. Now you have an initiator / counter initiator in Fada who is falling behind. At this point, I almost wonder, like you said, the support build makes a ton of sense given Synderen's not exactly getting a lot of farm in this situation. But Synderen's actually going to pursue him out here, chasing back solo, not going to go too far. But, it kind of reaches a point where not only does he need to tank up, I wonder how much emphasis they're going to put on counter initiation. And in that vein, might we see something like a Blink Dagger, something like a Force Staff?
The problem with those is, like, even if he gets a good roar off with, we see a nice shackle from Synderen up top.
Cogs go down, telekinesis is there. And now the open wounds, however, Surge should be enough to get him back to safety. And the coil's going to catch all three. They're going to try to re-engage. Synderen's in trouble, silenced out along with Pos. Synderen cleaned up. Pos doing what damage he can, but that's very, very little. The Lifestealer made it away. But again, that word, reach, already. A very quick 6 for solo. And showing, honestly, quick 6 nothing. He's almost level 8. But, showing off, that's exactly what I was talking about. The ability for them to just come out of nowhere and punish Mouz, especially if Mouz doesn't have vision, is just through the roof.
And Beastmaster I already didn't like before the game started just because they have so many ways to deal with them. They have Clockwork for counter initiate, as well as disrupt on the roar target, and now that he has a poor start, it's going to be even more difficult for him to have a good impact this game. Looks like this bottom tower is very, very low, and it's going to go down pretty soon. I don't know if Mouz is going to defend this, especially after those two supports died up top.
We see Black making his way towards an armlet. He's completed his phase boots, has added the Helm of Iron Will to his inventory. Taking a look back at the CS, he's still keeping it at least within reasonable range. He is behind, but, basically running at 2/3 of the farm. of the gyrocopter. Now, how quickly RoX.KIS wants to really put this gyro to use is going to be a point of interest for me. He's got 1,800 gold in the bank. Is he going to end up going something like drums? Is he going to build pure survivability with an early BKB? Or are we going to see the much more aggressive Shadow Blade build? And honestly, I feel like they could get away with a Shadow Blade. They have so many ways to bail themselves out and to turtle if they have to, that, you know, a risky move like that, the risk versus reward feels much more balanced towards reward.
Yep, and there's not going to be an early Necro 3 from the Beastmaster, so he doesn't have to worry about that for a very, very long time, even if he chooses to go that route.
2,200 gold. We'll continue to watch him. We're beginning to see a bit more movement on both sides. Syndraence actually was following around Feta, and now we're going to see RoX.KIS getting that tower. Gyro takes the last hit. He's almost got enough to get up his Shadow Blade. And if that is indeed what he's going to end up building, Drum's not likely to be the choice now that he already has that much gold and has spent none of it. But, I mean, Mouz right now just feels really flat. You know, that's the best way I know how to put it. I don't see them accomplishing a lot of goals anywhere on the map, and the movement from RoX.KIS feels a lot more concentrated.
Right, just like the Na'Vi game, early movement really pays off, and we said that puck rotation just completely tipped the balance in top lane. And with those supports down, they can't really have any control in any of the 3 lanes, and they already lost his tower on bottom, and now they're just getting free roam around the map.
We can see Shadow Blade will be the choice coming out of our gyrocopter. I think we were both behind that. But so far, I mean, Black's getting his farm, but what's going to end up happening if he's not careful is, okay, he'll get an armlet up and, you know, start making his way towards drums or something. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see this gyrocopter hook up with his team, and he's going to start 3-shotting supports because of Flak Cannon. It'll just be Black by himself trying to engage, and trying to engage not just into a problematic scenario, but trying to engage into a Shadow Demon, into a Clockwork. There's just so many ways for them to cope with him, and Mouz feels really all in on Black at the moment.
Right, and they do have the potential for a pretty big combo, maybe a hook shot cog into like a vacuum inside the cog with gyrocopter ultimate and a wall with puck. That's like just devastating team fight for Mouz to deal with, and they don't really have a solution for it, unfortunately. I think they need to put a lot of pressure on the other lanes with Furion, but again, he was in the off-lane sacrificial, and he's going to be quite behind on farm for a bit. He does have his Midas up and running. He already has boots and 400 gold. He's not looking too shabby right now.
TP is going to land, so they are going to look to make something happen up here. And oh, that's a gyro with the double damage. This could get very, very ugly if he engages soon. He's hanging back. There's the Shadow Blade. They're going to go for it. And it looks like, yeah, they've sniffed it out. There's the disruption. He's going to be, is he 6? Nope, not level 6 yet, but let's see. Here we go. There's that damage. And just look at the health melt. Now they're going to re-engage. Surge is going to get him out of trouble. Down go the cog. Shackle is going to connect, though. That was actually pretty sloppy out of RoX.KIS. Did not seem like they were all on the same page at all. Now we're going to see a Sprout locking in Yol. He's going to try to TP away. Here comes Black. Not going to be able to get there. I'll tell you what. You know, Gyro hasn't given up the ghost quite yet either. And here, oh, there's another good coil. Going to catch 2. Poss is very low. There's a roar, though, coming out of the tree. He's going to lock 1 down, and he's killed off. Now Gyro might be in trouble. Puck, in the meantime, does get a kill. Dread's there with the timely surge to get his buddy to safety. And we're not done yet, as Puck will be cleaned up under the shadow of the Tier 1 top. 2 for 1 the exchange. I was just going to say that could have gone so much worse for RoX.KIS, and it did go a bit more worse. Yeah, good English, AC. A bit worse. Syndran, though, going to be sent back to the well a little quicker than he would have liked. Oh, almost got the courier. Not quite, though. Doesn't have a TP, though. So now he's just out in no man's land, and he's going to have to try and pick his moment to get out of trouble.
Well, it doesn't look like they're going to chase him. Oh, Dread looks like he's in trouble.
Dread will surge, and open wounds only slows him down momentarily. Up, there we go. Koikfa's back there. He's going to get 2 for 1. And Gyro, very much the victim of his buddy's retreat path. Dread might end up getting away anyway, and he does. But yeah, you don't want that happening. You don't want to give up your Gyro because your Darkseer leads the enemy right to him.
Yep, I think that was quite sloppy, as you put it. They didn't really have a good initiate for the Nakes, especially with Clock not being 6. They can't trap him in place with a cog and just flack him down with a double damage. Looks like RoX.KIS really wanted to jump that gun with the DD and the Shadow Blade, but just not making anything happen. Puck, oh, looks like Puck is going to kill Fate over here, maybe. Yeah, it does have a regen in its bottle.
There's the silence. Shackle will not lash, and he will be roared before he can jump. Thought he was just going to jump, but waited a little too long, and Mouz is picking up what I call, you know, well, it's not what I call, it's what they are, free kills. These are kills that they're not even really working for. They're just kind of picking up for free due to mistakes from RoX.KIS, and that's a good way for them to keep the door open on Mouz. I was really feeling uncomfortable with Mouz's position just moments ago, but now after killing off the gyro, getting a free kill on the puck, all of a sudden, they're beginning to feel like they've got some longevity.
Yep. I think they could just straight up just push the towers instead of trying to pick these fights that they don't really need to pick.
Yeah, and that's kind of what has surprised me as well. I said during the draft, why isn't RoX.KIS just running as 5? They've got an excellent team fight with 5. I mean, yeah, you know, if you want to wait on Shadow Demon to hit 6, that's fine. And yeah, he just hit 6. Now, Puck is obviously well past level 6. Gyro's level 10. Darkseer is level 7. Doesn't have a point in the wall, but doesn't need it at this level. But they need to start putting... Oh, there's a good hook. This is what they need to do. And we're going to see Solo react. That's a very dead Koikva. And he's going to chase Black. He does not have a coil. Thought he did, but 13 seconds off cooldown. So now with 4 up here, looks like they do want to take this tier 1.
And look at the net worth. Like the Beastmaster and Puck were quite far apart before, but now Beastmaster's actually on top. And that's even without any towers down. So Mouz just getting free kills, as you put it. And very smart build by Lifestealer. He's actually going very early game build. No Midas, which we see a lot of the time from Black. We see phase, drums into an armlet. He knows that they need the early game presence from Nakes if they want to take this game.
Here comes big reactions. Let's see if they can catch up. Shackle dodged, and now the silence is out on Black. There's the roar that's going to lock him down, but here's the call down. They're going to walk right into it. And Gyro, spotted by the sentry, will drop as well. Another very sloppy engagement. I'll tell you what seems to be the problem, and you can even give me some insight as we watch Shadow Demon be carved to pieces, which I believe is going to happen, and it does. Shackle is there, but that's just mean, Syndrome. You're going to shackle a dead body? Come on, buddy. But anyway, the problem to me, and you know, as a former pro player, you can lend some insight. Just watching this, I feel like RoX.KIS isn't communicating. It feels like they're not really going after the same goals all at once.
Yep, the teamwork is quite sloppy. Darkseer wasn't even there for that fight. He was trying to push bottom, but the T1's already down. He only got like a couple hundred damage on the T2 tower. They really needed him for that fight. Surge targets that are in trouble, get that wall to disrupt Mouz's initiation, and that Ion Shell does pretty good damage at this stage in the game. Looks like Beastmaster is going to support build Arcane, and looks like Mech is already completed on him. His 2 branches are on his in his inventory right now, so it looks like they actually might be the ones 5-manning.
And again, you know, this is what comes of free kills. You know, RoX.KIS got a little separated out. They had a good engagement at top. They were looking to be okay. Mouz, you know, did get the first blood, and that's all well and good. But, you know, at the end of the day, they're just the little bit of lead that it felt like they had. And we can see, yeah, I mean, it was basically even. And Mouz was actually a little bit ahead in gold, a little bit ahead in experience. But look at that gigantic dip just over the last minute or two. That's just the product of that bad teamwork.
Yeah, Mouz's teamwork is quite incredible at this point, and we see a smoke from these 3. Koikva already has a Shadow Blade, so Midas Shadow Blade from the offlane Furion, so he has recovered quite well, and that is one of the greatest strengths about Furion. He can catch up and farm very, very quickly because he can be almost anywhere at once.
There's that Hawk. The Hawk's actually smoked up. Love that. Moving his way through and looking for a target. Looks like he will spot Dread, and he does. And let's see how they want to play this. Yep, they're just going to move and kill off the little guy. Shackle is going to latch. That was a weird angle, but Mouz will take it as they add another kill to their total. Now we're going to hear open wounds engaged upon RoX.KIS. Yeah, Black just kind of went for it and not really shut down. I mean, the Demonic Purge slowed him down enough to allow them to escape, but no reprisal. And now Tier 1 going to be their prize.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Yep, now that the mid T1 is down, they're just going to continue taking towers. Bottom T1's next. Ooh, good shackles.
Syndrome is playing balls out Dota, man. He is playing some chest out Dota. There we go. We're going to see the re-engagement. That hurts. They just lost those 2 for free. Mex is going to negate most of the return damage they had. And now we're going to see the Gyro re-engaged upon. And Shackle's not going to do anything, but it's not needed. He's down. Dread back up. Solo's back up. The only thing really keeping RoX.KIS towers up right now is the fact that the respawn timers are so low.
They're just getting picked off one by one. They really just need a group of S5. I don't think I've seen them group of S5 yet this game. First, this push over here was only 4, and then Darkseer died over here in the neutrals, and then their just teamwork is not on par right now. Looks like they will head for an early Roshan.
Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Black's in great shape. He's got up his drums. This will be spotted by a rocket flare. Let's see if they want to try to contend with this.
Yeah, this is a great place for them to fight with the wall and the choke, and then with puck coil, they could grab a lot if they were in position. But it's with this T1 down in middle, it's very difficult for them to be there that fast.
Down it goes, and yeah, I mean they honestly got pretty much nothing done in that time. And now with the free Aegis in the inventory of the Lifestealer, the rich get richer. Black again in great shape with his armlet, his drums. He's got 2,800 gold, can build whatever he wants right now. And I'm actually interested to see what item he wants to go for. He can go something cookie cutter like a Deso if he really just wants to try and slam the door shut with nothing but a raw right click. Or he could go something creative. He could end up going like a Sange and Yasha just to try to negate some of the abilities that RoX.KIS has to slow him down. Or how about an Orchid? Get an Orchid up and silence out the puck.
Yep, I think any of those would be pretty good choices. I'm curious as to what Beastmaster is going to build next, too. He already has his support items.
Yasha on the way, so will be the Sange and Yasha. Yeah, I'm with you on the Beast. I honestly think he might build a Blink Dagger. You know, whenever I saw the lineup of RoX.KIS, you know, the best way to deal with a team that can sit back and use their reach against you is just get in close. I mean, if you're a boxer and you're boxing against someone that has you beat with reach, the best way to deal with it is get in close and fight high and tight.
Looks like RoX.KIS has finally gathered as 5 and are putting pressure on this tower. This will be the 3rd tower that will possibly go down for them.
And, I mean, but you can just see how scared they are. I mean, this is, you know, right now at night, and that Hawk giving the vision they sorely need, or at least until it dies. You know, they have to be careful. They're not really getting a lot out of the fact that the puck has so much reach. You're not getting a lot out of the hooks out of Yol. Now they're going to go ahead, but they're going to have to come through Koikva. He's spotted out and engaged upon. Cogs are down. The coil is down, but they can't fight through it. They do manage to bring one down. Windrunner's in trouble at the moment as well. And there's the roar to slow down the Clockwork as the rest move back. Koikva did buy back in the middle of all that. And wow, Clockwork actually gets a kill on Synderen. Caught right in the periphery of the damage from that flare. Now Black being kited around a bit. There's a telekinesis as well as open wounds. Dread will end up dropping. That's a double kill for Black. 15-9. Let's see if they want to continue to try and force the issue now. With everything used right now, cooldowns on cooldown, not for the longest. 50 seconds on the coil, the hook on cooldown for 30 seconds. This is the danger they run. They used everything they could there, didn't get a big win, and now Mouz can follow it up knowing that the big abilities aren't going to be available.
Yeah, especially with 2 lives on Black, this is definitely a fight that they want to take.
Here we go, 20 minutes in, looking to take their first Tier 2 of the game. All Tier 1s have been cleared from the map quite some time ago. We can see warding and counter-warding going on even as we speak. The Shadow Blades on both sides, a liability. Everyone back up and fresh, though. Looks like Mouz has decided to go ahead and pull back.
There is this huge Ancient stack that was meant for Gyro. We might see a huge contest here, though.
Here we go. He moves in. Now he's going to eat the open wounds. And they've got a sentry ward down. The hook ended up hitting nothing. I heard the sound. I think he just shot it right into Gyro's back. And there's a silence. That actually missed everyone. Now the cooldown's going to come down. Cogs go down as well. Shackle, though, has 2 locked down. They're going to be able to clean one up. In the meantime, there's a roar on the low ground. Solo trying to orb his way to safety. Will not make it away. Dread being pursued by Black. Black with that Aegis still up. He's going to 3-shot this poor Shadow Demon. Nope. Koikva takes the kill from him. And after that, as the dust settles, Mouz now doubling RoX.KIS up. And this game beginning to feel the same as our first game, like it's out of control.
Yep, and Synderen has been spot on with these shadows. He's hit some really nice ones.
Oh man, he has been money in the bank. All right, while we watch them bring down this Tier 2, let's put you back in the captain's chair, Mr. Merlini. What do you do? If you're calling the shots for RoX.KIS, what's the plan?
Well, it looks like they need to try and get some picks. Like, Mouz is just way too farm right now for them to just take five-man just head-on like they tried in this middle fight. And after losing that one, and with these next 2 T2 towers down, and the Aegis still up on Black, there's no way that they can fight them 5-on-5. They have to just apply pressure around the map, try and pick off perhaps a kill on a Furion that is split pushing, but really they can't engage them head-on. They need like a BKB on Gyrocopter. Like, look at his items. He had a Phase and Shadow Blade in maybe 15 minutes or so, maybe even less, maybe 12, and now 10 minutes later, all he has is a Wraithband and a Bracer and a Dust that he bought himself.
Yep. He actually had that Wraith Band to begin with. He ran to lane with a Wraith Band in his
Oh,
inventory.
Yeah. He's just really poor. He needs more items. He has such a good start. Got a complete free farm on bottom. Furion wasn't even in the lane, and he got that T1 tower, and now there's nothing to show for it. And this is one of the problems with Gyrocopter. He kind of needs a BKB in order to do anything, but they still have a lot of things that can try and kill him through BKB. Nake's does a lot of physical damage. They still have Roar to try and lock him down, and he can't really do damage to Windrunner all during BKB.
Tell you what it all comes down to, man, at least from where I sit, and I'll hold that thought, is it looks like we will have an engagement. Maybe not. I mean, if they just want to give up the tier 2, fine. Here we go. There's beautiful shackle from Synderen. Catches them all. Down goes the coil as well that was stolen from Rubik. And this looks to be ugly. Black still has his Aegis, has it popped just before it expired. So they're actually going to get the usage out of that. And here we go. There's a disruption to try and buy some time. Vacuum into the wall that catches Koikva. In the meantime, Gyro doing what damage he can. Black's going to go ahead and back out, and that draws them right into a power shot. And they actually bounced back a little better than I thought they would. They did take a buyback or two. I think I saw at least one buyback. I'm not sure if it was 2 or not. But at any rate, they do lose the tower. They popped the Aegis, but it was about ready to expire anyway.
Yep, Darkseer and Puck both bought back. Gem was dropped by Rubik, but it was recovered by the Beastmaster. So Gem of True Sight still in possession by Mouz.
Dread being pursued now by Black. Should make it back to the safety and succor of his good friend Clockwork, and he does. But anyway, what I was going to say before that fight broke out is where all this began to fall apart for RoX.KIS is they had what I would call good movement, bad execution. They were in the right place in that top lane a couple of times. But other than that one successful teleport in by Puck that got them 2 kills, the other 2 or 3 attempts, as we talked about, the communication seemed to be lacking, their execution wasn't there, and that just held the door open for Mouz to get themselves into position to do this, and now we're going to see Dread being shackled off of a creep. Tell you what, man, Cinder and Dota's good Dota. He has been money in the bank with those shackles.
Yeah, most definitely. Picking some nice ones. There were some strange ones, like this one close to that one. I didn't actually think that one was going to hit.
That's shackle shot, though. General rule about shackle shot. They're going to be somewhere you go, oh, come on. How does that not latch? Hang on. We're going to be spent the lockdown solo. Yep, that's a dead Puck. 22-10, and Mouz is running away with this. But what I was going to say is there's always going to be those shackles. It's like, oh, come on. How's that not latch? Then there are those who go, where you go, huh, okay, thanks, RNG.
Yep, and Beastmaster did go for the Blink Dagger like you talked about. It just makes it really easy for him to kill Puck. And Puck had his Blink Dagger pretty early in 15 minutes, but they're just unable to keep up any sort of item advantage. They had a pretty good start, but just looking at the graphs, just completely going in Mouz's favor.
At this point, you know, you look at RoX.KIS and their capabilities. Top 3 farmers on the board, by the way, all belong to Mouz. I've had the net worth up for a while. I've been meaning to mention this. Beastmaster is more farmed than Gyrocopter is right now. Very good. Sprout from Koikva, and he's going to try to use the tree. Almost, except Phase Boots. He would have been able to get by him. I thought he was trying to use the treants to block, but Phase Boots make that an impossibility. But anyway, I mean, you know, you look at RoX.KIS team, they've got a tough team to crack. They do. They've got a lot of team fight, very good team, fighting under their own tier 3s, but this is going to be like an hour-and-a-half long game if they want to turtle out this lead.
Nature's Prophet almost has Sheep up. There's Roshan up in 2 minutes, so after Roshan is up, it's going to be like just huge trouble for RoX.KIS. Black is very close to completing his heart. He has Reaver along with 1,700 gold in the bank, so everything's about to come together for Mouz. Sheepstick, Heart, Aegis, and then I think they're just going to make the push and try and make it GG.
And this is one of those games that just had so much action. I mean, we're 26 minutes in, 32 kills on the board. And the laning phase, you know, was quiet for a while. Then we started to see movement. Everything kind of broke down. Feels like a much longer game than it is, especially when you look at how much work Mouz has done. I popped this up a minute ago, but just wanted to bring it back up and talk about it. We're talking almost 20,000 gold, the lead for Mouz right now. I mean, it's one thing to be ahead, but, you know, you hate to be fatalistic about it, but there is a point where it almost becomes insurmountable. I mean, and again, any chance they have to turtle this out is going to be an hour from now. And, you know, I think an Aegis is probably going to be all it's going to take for Mouz to slam the door shut. Reaver now picked up on Black, so he's got almost 3,000 health at 27 minutes in at level 17.
That is very scary. Very, very scary. And Gyro at this point needs like BKB, Rapier, Butterfly, Manta, all those items to try and deal with his Nakes, especially once he gets Aegis. So just both teams biding time. Mouz definitely just waiting for Roshan, and RoX.KIS just looking for any sort of farm they can around the map.
Force staff to pick up on Cinderin, so yet another way to cope with getting up close and personal if and when they want to do so. Scythe of Ice is done on Koikfa. That's no fun if you happen to be a puck. Taking a look at Fada, who, you know, really you gotta admire Fada bouncing back. It certainly helped that his team really capitalized everywhere else on the map, but we'll hold that thought as RoX.KIS is smoked up, and they are going to be moving through their own jungle trying to find a target. Roshan has just respawned, so he's fresh, and RoX.KIS well aware of it. They're going to move in. Ghost Scepter picked up on Clockwork. That'll help a bit. Solo's had his blink up for a while. Now they're going to be spotted. Black immediately rages out, and they're unable to catch him. Koikfa TP's in. So they've got their feet in the river now, and they are going to go and withdraw to their own side of the river. Now here we go. Beastmaster looking for a roar target, didn't find it. Mouz, now there it is. And there's a hook to re-engage. We're going to see Black caught out as well. There's a disruption. Wall goes down. Big fight. Shackle. Good vacuum draws them all in, and a coil to follow it up. But Mouz is just so tanky. And really, that went about as well as it could have. They were able to keep the gyro up and fighting. They do end up going 2 for 1, at least for the moment, maybe 2 for 3, as Koikfa will be cleaned up. They forced the buyback on the Prophet. If they weren't so far behind, that would have been a full team wipe. I mean, they really executed that well for the most part. And hang on, we're not done, as they're going to pursue this out and actually make it another kill coming out after the buyback. So, double kill goes the way of Koikfa as they get a bunch of return kills. They move back into the Roche pit. And yeah, I mean, the execution was there from RoX.KIS that time. It's just too little, too late.
Nope, that's the first disrupt I've seen on a roar target, but that needs to happen more often. But poor gyrocopter.
Roshan will end up dropping. So, Mouz with 26 kills on the board. Their opponents with half at 13 following that fight. And yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you look at a goal graph and an experience graph, that's probably the biggest win RoX.KIS has had in the last 15 minutes, and it doesn't even register. That's just how far behind they are.
Mm-hmm.
But at 30 minutes in, Merlini, I mean, there's only so much theory crafting we can do as to what they can do when they're this far behind. How about we talk about where things went wrong? I mean, we talked a lot about the communication issues we both perceived. Outside of that, though, what big factor could have been different here to try and put RoX.KIS in a better position at the 30-minute mark?
I think they were just inefficient about their use of heroes. We saw the nice puck gank over here. He TP'd in and coiled too, but they were just inefficient in moving around the map. They didn't like farm effectively, TP effectively, gank effectively, and they were just really weak on all of those areas. Their heroes were like moving around the map, but not in anything useful, and that's where their lack of teamwork comes into play. And we see a smoke come out from these two, and it looks like Black is looking for a target, but no infest yet.
Tell you what, when Black pops those phase boots with his Sanjin Yasha build, it is, he is hauling. He is moving at 488 move speed. He is getting around. So, RoX.KIS is going to have to make a big priority of him, otherwise he will pursue down everyone. Back to the gyro. Looks like he is going for a Satanic. He's at least picked up the Helm of the Dominator. Reckon he could go straight damage after that. A little bit of extra armor never hurt anyone. Certainly helps to have the lifesteal, but, I mean, when you look at the net worth, he's still being out-farmed by a Beastmaster.
Yeah, man, that is very, very unfortunate. Like, he had such a good start and just kind of threw it away. But very nice play by Mouz, though, to come back from their poor start. They gathered up, they countered ganked, they moved around the map very well, and they got a lot of key kills, a lot of good roars by Fada. After dying a couple times at a puck in the middle, he managed to shut him down quite well, trying to roar him before the ethereal jaunt.
Looks like we may have the potential for a fight. We've got a couple grouped up just in the warpath that RoX.KIS has selected. They're moving under cover of smoke. And Cinderin going to be the first they spot. Here we go. They're going to go for it. They get the coil down on just one, but the Hex is there on the gyro. And now the counter roar on the Dread. Dread's going to be cleaned up. And we're going to see Gyro just unable to tank through all of this damage. Black is just too gigantic. Even the right click from Koikfa beginning to look very impressive. He's up in about 220 damage per auto attack after he added the Demon Edge. That should be that, really. And there's the phase shift, unfortunately. Oh, there's Paw saying, yep, I'll finish you off with your own ability. Dread gonna re-engage, but the GGs come out in the meantime. 32 minutes it took them. But really, when you look at the goal graph, look how, I mean, you look at this goal graph, look how comparatively close it was for the first 16 minutes, and then how utterly out of control it got from 16 minutes to 26 minutes.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. I did not expect it to go this way. Or at least the graph to go this way.
But back to what you were talking about, I mean, just touch on that a bit more. You talked about the inefficiencies. That gyrocopter, and we talked, whenever I was talking about his item build and what he may or may not go with, I use the word risky because it is always risky to go something like that straight up, to go right for a damage-oriented build just a plain-out Shadow Blade. We saw why it's risky right there. Why didn't RoX.KIS begin to get a bit more active with him? I feel like if they had grouped up as we both anticipated they would, this game could have had a very different outcome.
I mean, they could have done that, or they could have just split around the map. Like, Gyro plus any other hero can pick off any hero of Mouz, but they were, like, in a very nice defensive position. They were, like, really close to their T1. They had, like, the Hawk to scout it out, or they had, like, Lifestealer way up in front, and RoX.KIS just didn't really initiate well any time on Mouz, and they, like, used disruption offensively, which means that they're just going to get roared and just zerged down by the Nakes. I think that they could have just farmed a BKB on the gyrocopter because he's just really squishy. What's he going to do when a Nake just runs at him? Right. Especially when, I mean, it was just devastating to watch. Their team fight just completely fell apart, and I had more hopes for nice hook shot initiates, nice coil initiates into vacuum wall, but none of that really seemed to happen. But Mouz did put a lot of pressure on them, and those shackle shots by Synderen really set them up for a lot of wins in those team fights.
Very good play out of Synderen, very good play out of the rest of Mouz as well. 32 minutes, 46 seconds, the official game time, 13-31. The final kill score. Mouz rolls to a Game 1 win. They're going to be thinking sweep, trying to make it 2-0. In game number 2, RoX.KIS going to be looking to turn the bagel into a breadstick and force a Game 3. I'm AC, joined by Merlini, and you're watching the Curse Invitational powered by Alienware. Stick with us. Game 2 of this best of 3 coming up next.